Last week, Morgan Stanley promoted Jeff McMillan to a newly created position as its Managing Director, Head of Artificial Intelligence. Here's the announcement on CNBC. That story is a good example of a broader trend in the market where more and more companies are creating similar roles that, by whatever name, are generally referred to in our world as a Chief AI Officer, or CAIO for short. Here's an article that describes that role as the hottest new job in Washington. And since this is an important trend, I thought I'd bring this role to life for you using Jeff as an example. And let's start with everyone's favorite topic, salary. And for that, we have public sector and private sector. President Biden's executive order about AI mandates 400 federal agencies to each name a chief AI officer by the end of next month. And according to OMB guidelines, that role would fall under the Senior Executive Service category, which has a maximum salary of $212,000. Not more than that. But, as you can see here, according to Glassdoor, the lowest total compensation for that same role in the private sector, as of last month, is estimated at $286,000, and the median is around $380,000, and that's with an accuracy score of confident, as you can see here. So, putting that data side by side, you can see here there's a pretty big gap between the federal max and the private industry min. Now, in fairness, the salaries themselves are actually more or less in line. The difference is that private industry also offers variable comp, and that's what's driving most of the difference you see there. But variable comp matters. And what's the trend for this role? Here's a recent article about that on LinkedIn News, where we learn that the number of companies with a head of AI is now 2.7 times higher than it was just 5 years ago. Meanwhile, the overall AI job market is, of course, projected to grow exponentially over the next 6 years, as you can see here. So that will be a factor in this too. Now, let's get to the meat. What is this role, actually? And what does this person need to be able to do? To answer that, I put together a roll-up of opinions from multiple sources that you can see here. And in doing that, I've gone through the full text of published interviews with these and with other people. And from that, I've created an 8-point list of key capabilities for a CAIO. And here they are. Deep business understanding and business acumen. Demonstrated management ability at scale, including project management, budgeting, timeline management, and risk assessment. Ability to collaborate with other departments, leading to alignment on shared vision. A focus on ROI, balanced across quick wins and long-term strategy. Deep technical competence, including data management and also AI production at scale. Relationship management skills across vendors, media, and investor stakeholders. Ability to deliver AI systems that are private, safe, fair, and accountable. And a demonstrated commitment to continuous learning. So, that's a pretty good start for a job description. Now, let's use Jeff McMillan to bring this to life. Prior to his coming to Morgan Stanley, Jeff had spent 8 years as the Managing Director of Research at Merrill Lynch. So, let's check that first box. And just last year, he implemented a generative AI solution for Morgan Stanley employees using GPT-4, and that was a high-profile project. So that checks box number 2. The announcement also describes a company-wide AI steering group that will be made up of representatives from business units and infrastructure, which Jeff will co-chair. So it sounds like he's demonstrated to senior leadership that he's a fit for that type of responsibility. Check. And in this interview with CNBC, he indicates that the decision to be an early adopter of AI has been a meaningful driver of Morgan Stanley's success over the past several years. So there's probably an interesting ROI story embedded in that statement that maybe can't be shared in full detail with the general public. But that was surely a trigger for this move because business is business. So let's check that box. By the way, I'll leave a link for you in the comments to the CNBC page that contains that video, so you can check it out if you want. Regarding technical competence, we know that Jeff spent the last 8 years leading the Analytics, Data, and Innovation Group at Morgan Stanley's Wealth Management line of business. And regarding scale, we know from that interview you saw that his generative AI project accessed an internal knowledge base of over 100,000 documents. So we can check that box. Regarding vendor management, Morgan Stanley inked a strategic partner agreement with OpenAI that created an exclusive relationship with direct access to top developers and software engineers over there, and even to executive leadership all the way up to Sam Altman. So that's great on the vendor side. And the video I showed just now with CNBC is certainly indicative of being able to work with media and other stakeholders. So, check. Safe and transparent AI. Definitely. The system that's described in the interview was a private, controlled ecosystem where every piece of research content was independently reviewed for accuracy and reasonableness prior to being included in the knowledge base. And the project had an excellent approach for transparency, where users get 3 things: a full text answer, plus the reasoning for how that answer was arrived at, and also access to the source documents that were used to generate all that, which is perfect. Check. Lastly, you can see here that Jeff's degree was actually in economics, not machine learning or computer science. But apparently, he did the necessary to get up to speed. Here's where he posted a skill assessment to his profile for machine learning. There's no date on it, but that was probably quite a while back. LinkedIn doesn't do those kinds of assessments anymore. Anyway, let's check that box too. So there you have it, a 2-pronged approach to describing a CAIO, covering 8 key capabilities for this very interesting role, both from a theoretical standpoint, based on interviews with an array of subject matter experts, and also using a recent example of a real person who got the nod for that role just last week. I hope you found that to be a helpful approach to the topic. Meanwhile, thanks for watching, and see you next time.